still say yes to life. There's a story behind that. This is your daily message from Chad number 1023 to upgrade your mental game today by telling yourself a better story. Because the most important story you hear is the story you tell yourself. This message is dedicated to Brett McKay. Here's the upgrade. You think when you dominate struggles, you'll be happy, but upgraded thinking realizes meaning can be found in a worthwhile struggle. Here's the story. Viktor Frankl was a psychotherapist and Holocaust survivor. He lost his entire family in the concentration camps, including his pregnant wife. He wrote what would become his explanation of his therapy approach, logotherapy, in the concentration camp. He wrote it out by hand on scraps of toilet paper. Then the Nazi guards found it and destroyed it. How did Frankl respond? He started writing it again. Where did Frankl get the motivation to start writing again after having his work destroyed, let alone the will to keep going after his wife and family were killed? Frankl knew that motivation is a myth, but meaning isn't. Frankl believed that each moment of one's life has meaning. Even moments of unimaginable suffering and living with meaning transcends motivation. An aspect of his story that's not discussed as much is his post-war struggle. He was rescued from the camp at the end of April and was able to return to Vienna mid-August. He shortly returned to work in Vienna's neurological department, lecturing and trying to rebuild. But imagine what he returned to. The country had been the theater of war for the past 4 years. His immediate family was dead. On September 14, 1945, he wrote a letter to close friends Wilhelm and Steffa Borner, expressing his state. Quote, "I am unspeakably tired, unspeakably sad, unspeakably lonely. In the camp, you really believed that you had reached the low point of life, and then when you come back, you were forced to see that things had not lasted. Everything that had sustained you had been destroyed. That at the time when you had become human again, you could sink to an even more bottomless suffering." End quote. The quoted passage captures the crushing realization many survivors faced. The camps had seemed like the absolute bottom, yet liberation brought an even more bottomless suffering. Everything that had sustained him, family, home, pre-war life, had been destroyed. Further in the letter, he describes himself as terribly tired, terribly sad, terribly lonely, with no pleasure in life, only duties. He mentions nothing left but to cry a little and browse a little through the Psalms. Shortly after this, he would rewrite the book that was destroyed in the concentration camp. We know it by the title Man's Search for Meaning, but the original title was Still Say Yes to Life. This context provides more depth, I believe, to what Frankl wrote. After the war, Frankl was physically free, yet emotionally devastated. This is a reminder that just because you get through a devastating struggle doesn't mean everything is easy. This again is the reason motivation is a poor driver to rely upon. Especially in unspeakable trials, a deeper reservoir to draw from is necessary. I think this reveals the resilient worldview that defined Frankl's legacy. The better story to tell yourself is, motivation is a myth, but meaning isn't. Frankl wrote, quote, "What man actually needs is not a tensionless state, but rather the striving and struggling for some goal worthy of him. What he needs is not the discharge of tension at any cost, but the call of a potential meaning waiting to be fulfilled by him." End quote. Meaning is waiting to be fulfilled by you. Tell me a story of man's, and this includes women. Search for meaning to fromchadsmith@gmail.com. Send someone a text and ask them, what gets you out of the bed in the morning these days? You can get a free copy of my book, The Most Powerful Story in the World, by going to fromchad.gumroad.com. The transcript of this message and hundreds of others are always available at www.fromchad.com.